What's up, everybody? What's going on? It's Mr. Straight Fact Show. Just wanted to say hello to everybody today on this Thursday. Now, I'm going to get straight to the point. This is going to be about the new breach, which is really an old breach. They don't even know when the Venmo breach happened. They just know that it ended on the 26th, which means yesterday they probably checked his information and found out that he had been hacked already. And they're on the news acting like it's no big deal. And we're going to go over with my limited technology. I've been in technology for a while. I did some IT work and built computers and things of that nature. But, there are people who are way better than me. But just in my mind, how easy it would be to be able to hack this if you are just an average hacker to get into this. But if you are a government funded hacker and a team of hackers, this was highly, highly easy to access. Not hard at all. And considering that Tulsi Gabbard was in Moscow, and all of us think that she's compromised anyway, except for MAGA people, by the way she treats Putin and goes to dinner with him, not on any official business, like personally going to Russia and hanging out with Putin. So that is disturbing as it is. But we're going to go through this whole process because I've watched it throughout the entire day, popping in here and there into news. Hey, Lynn, how you doing? And trying to find out if anybody's going to go any deeper than the surface on this. That's one thing I kind of think that news does a disservice. And I know people may not like it, but to me, I'd rather you break down what the hell is going on than to go over 1,500 stories in a day, just try to throw so much news at us that we can't even grasp all of it. I'd rather kind of break down one aspect so that we fully understand it. Hey, Vera. So in this breach that we found out today, he had his Venmo account, which had 328 contacts, military men and women. I'm guessing we didn't get their names, but contacts along with some of their financial information. If you have Venmo, you just have certain things, but you can see their entire account. So they would only have access, I guess, to the last four digits or whatever Venmo does. I'm guessing Venmo is the same, similar to all the other apps, like a PayPal, for instance. But that's access into your phone because you can't get to the Venmo unless you get to the phone. So this hacker, whomever it was, or group of hackers, hacked his phone and then got into his Venmo. In so doing, he had to get there by either an email of some sort, a phishing of some sort, that he had to click on something in order to give them access. And if they have access to the app, it's something that you automatically got to check to see if you have access to the phone, complete phone. And then after that, whatever network you may be on with that phone is also a situation where things can be loaded. Now, today they've been talking about this, especially the Republicans, the MAGA ones have been nonchalant, like, it's just not really, it's not classified, it's highly sensitive, but it's not, or even highly, they just say it's sensitive information, but not classified. Well, it's highly classified. I don't care what they say. No time in my lifetime have I ever seen anything like that coming out of the government. I've never seen you tell me what kind of machines you were going to use and who you was going to annihilate. Never. What time they were going to arrive. It's never happened. No military person from from the very beginning of getting into the military as a private, all the way up to the very, very top, or president has ever released any kind of information like this because it is top secret. Like one of the, I don't know if he's a senator, speaker, That wasn't the Speaker of the House, but I think it was a senator, said something to the effect of, if it's, I want to say his name is Mark Warner, I want to say, but he said if you had this information and it's not secret and it's not, why can't you just hand it to us right now so we can read it? And all of a sudden they're quiet. Tulsi Gabbard was asked, this is her second time I saw her at least. She may have had 3 meetings, but I've seen 2. And the first one, she's like, I don't recall. I don't recall. The second one, they got the information, and it's like, you just had this like a couple weeks ago, and you can't remember that it was telling you F18 and all these other numbers. You just don't remember that? It was highly like filled with this. It wasn't like it was one here, one there. It was all throughout. You didn't remember. She's like, oh, I don't remember the exact thing. No, I didn't ask you the exact one. I said, was any military weapons mentioned? Times, locations at all? Can't recall. Don't think so. They all perjured themselves. That alone should have them fired, if not charged for perjury. I don't get this shit, man. I'm telling you, to have a president be the one person who tells you that, hey, it could be legal, it can't be legal. I'm like, look, I don't care if you decided after the fact to declassify it from being something that is, not something that the average American can see. Well, as soon as you declassify it, okay, you can give it all to us. But they effed up prior to that. So when it was classified, when it was secretive, they released it. It is not after they release it, oh, let's just declassify it. No, they committed a felony first. And then you decided to actually make it that we can see it. No, that's not how the government should work, but somehow that's how it's working. You break the rules, break the laws, you should get charged. And then you say, oh, you can give it to everybody. I declassified it. No, you had to have declassified it before they released it. And this is the thing that gets on my nerves when we don't hear Democrats, we don't hear any politician for that matter, Republicans even. We don't hear independents. We don't hear lawyers. We don't hear anybody saying, hey, look, I don't care whether the president declassified that shit or not. The reality is this. It was classified information when they released it. So we're not charging them on what it is now. We're charging them on what they did. That's the way it should be. But for some reason, they get away with this stuff. Now, the thing that I was really kind of like focusing on today, because I was like, you know what, this is, very, very serious. It's not like, fly by night and day thing. It's like, yo, you can't just throw this out the window. This is something we need to talk about consistently, nonstop. This news cycle should not stop. This is our safety. The difference between us being safe and having another 9/11 are these idiots. We had security as far as we knew when 9/11 hit. And none of the information was exposed prior to that happening. Now we got people who can't keep a secret in a place in which we need to keep secrets. Leading the secretive group are the dipshits who can't keep a secret. It makes no sense to me. So I had to dig deep and look into different places today and try and find out what I could about this hacker situation. We know that what I found out to know from gathering information today is they don't know when the Venmo hack happened. They just know when it ended, and that was yesterday, March 26th. Now, the Signal app was, I think, on March 11th, March 11th, March 12th, somewhere around there. So 10 so many days that we found out about it later, about 10 days later or so. We didn't find out about it on March 11th. So we have no clue if his phone was already hacked by Venmo prior to the Signal. So if that's the case, whomever hacked his Venmo and got to his phone probably saw the signal shit too. And here's the other thing. Let's say that it was just last minute that they did it. Um, it's bad on both sides, no matter what. They hacked it before it, or they hacked it after it. And if they hacked it after and they just did it, let's say just yesterday, right? Because they're still searching. That would literally mean that after Jeffrey Goldberg at the Atlantic exposed the fact that it had been that he had gotten on this line and he saw this information, someone went and hacked and got all the other information. But from either way, from what they've gathered, the information they gathered is that it was more than likely prior to the reporter or editor-in-chief of the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, before he saw it, meaning the signal information. So this entire time, Mike Waltz was already compromised. You talk about the Keystone Cops for real, yo. I mean, how does this happen with people who are supposed to keep secrets? This right here, I, as a tech person, would say a neophyte would do. You can't go into the government with a neophyte mentality toward technology. If you do, then you should never bring your personal phones anywhere near Washington, D.C. None whatsoever. Not close. If you don't have the wherewithal to know that every time you're in that position, every spy that they have in this country is tapping in. It's just a given. They're tapping into your stuff. It's a given. If we go to Russia, like Tulsi Gabbard, she was in Russia. We know she was being spied on. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Putin and their people were spying on her. She opens up her phone, which she wasn't in a skiff. She wasn't in the embassy in which we could be able to open up in a skiff. She wasn't there. She was in an area with Putin. So we know they got it. More than likely. They want to say it was just a little mistake. No, it was a colossal fuck up is what it was. Colossal. I looked it up to find more information about it. It says Venmo doesn't just get hacked on its own. If someone gathered or gained unauthorized access to his Venmo, it likely happened one of three ways. Compromise of his physical phone and his login credentials. And you know, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna tell you what who I am. I don't do this, but as a person who used to fix people's computers and build computers for people and their technology and hook up their Wi-Fi's and all the stuff like that, the average person owning a computer is not really computer savvy. So oftentimes what happens, see, personally myself, none of my equipment has the same password. I have a list that's on certain areas, like encrypted, that literally has all my passwords in it. And they're all different. I don't put it on anything else. It's off the internet. It's off of that. It's on a server of my own, which is behind a VPN and all these other things. That's a little much because I'm not like in the military or nothing, but that's a bit much. But I've gotten hacked before, so I had to go there. So the average person doesn't go to that length. These people are nitwits. They literally thought Signal was pretty much like government authorized. Not realizing that it was the app that's secure. Their phones were not. They literally thought their phones were secure. That's why when they asked them the question, Were you on your personal phone or were you on like the government phone, the one that's actually you can't hack it type of thing, or at least it's hard as hell to hack? And they couldn't answer that because they know they were on their personal phones. Doesn't take much to find out which phone they were on. But they're talking about an investigation, or with a bunch of nitwits being investigated by a dipshit. I mean, how do you expect that's going to come out? This has a ripple effect. Every country that we were allies with, still are to some degree. Hopefully they don't lump us up, but you know what? They can't give a fuck about us as the citizens. They got to worry about the government. Our government is the Keystone Cops. And these people that are running other countries are professionals. Now, I didn't get into the information about Israel, but there was some attack on Israeli people, and it turns out that the information in which they used to attack the Houthis came from, not all of it, but came from Israel. They're pissed at us because their people now have been compromised. Families and loved ones will more than likely get attacked or unalived because of it. Because we have some unprofessional, dumbass white men that think just because they were white that they were qualified for a job they should have never fucking had. None of them should be a general manager of KFC, let alone in front of our government doing shit that they have no fucking business doing. You know it. I know it. They know it. They know they're in over their head. That's why they talk with such bravado. You ever notice when the military men and women who are in these positions, usually, not all of them, but they may have retired and no longer been in it, because some of these positions, you have to be out of the military for like a decade or something like that before you can actually get the position. But these men and women that are usually in these positions, they're some badasses, but they're quiet about it. You can tell people who are uneducated in this type of world is because they're bragging. What they were doing was tantamount of bragging of what they were doing. Look what we're doing, you know. And then the emojis. It was all in this little like community of bravado. Can you believe we're doing this? We're so cool. While they're being a complete and utter dumbass. Every last person. This is what kills me about this. Marco Rubio has been in this position as a senator and all stuff like that for a long time. He's been in skiffs. He's been in all kinds of things. He knows how to handle this type of information. He didn't raise the idea of, yo, this ain't right. Tulsi Gabbard's been in this kind of information. She should have been like, nah, we shouldn't be doing this. Steve Witkoff. They've been in this situation before. Some of them have been in the military. So they know how information is supposed to be handled. They decided that they were above the law and that they were in this cool group that can freaking get on an app that's outside the government, not government approved whatsoever for this type of information. They know they're supposed to be in a skiff or be at least on a phone that they have from the government. That's something that you can't hack easily. And even that is a no-no. But that would be somewhat excusable, depending on the situation. As the information was pertinent, they couldn't get to a skiff and they needed to be on that call. They would get on something of that effect that it could not be hacked, or at least something that would take a long time to hack. But no, personal phones, his Venmo account is hacked. Signal gets somebody else on it, Jeffrey Goldberg, and they're out here in these streets saying, hey, nothing to see here, while chanting for years Lock her up for emails. I mean, take some responsibility. I mean, what country can really trust this country right now? Hell, I can't trust it. If I was from another country, I'd be like, fuck America for right now. Wait until the idiot is out, but America's on the outs. We ain't telling them shit. Nothing. Let somebody want to attack them. It will not be known to us. We never heard of it. We don't know nothing about it. We just gonna close our mouths, close our eyes, and Stevie Wonder this thing. I ain't saying shit. Why would I try and protect you when you got dumbasses out here putting everybody in trouble? It's tantamount of being a snitch. And this is on some war type level shit. This ain't no gang shit. This is war type shit. Countries their safety is being breached by this. Their safety is at stake. Other countries find out they can't receive information to protect themselves because they were given this information and trusted. And somehow America got it. Now they can't be trusted by people that they need to keep their country safe. You think they're going to sit around and be like, oh yeah, let's hook up with America again. No. They're going to do whatever they can to keep themselves safe. And if that is to close their mouths and allow our military to get blasted, that's what's going to happen. Until they can prove they can do their job. And the thing they need to do to prove it is swiftly fire them all and hire new people. Bring in interim, actual people who can do the fucking job until the person that you want to hire that knows how to do it is put in place. Show some leadership and other countries will come running back. But see, they're going off of this same thing about this show power and might by just being evil as fuck. They forget they're talking to other white men. They know how to be evil. They know how to do this shit too. You think you got something up on them? They were all raised the same way you were. And they know how to deal with you. So my question, as I was digging into this, because I asked ChatGPT, I looked at the sources, all of that. Yeah, Save Wit is 100% right. No electronic devices or USB drives are allowed in any facility, secret level or higher. Now, my question was, if they got into this Venmo, and say it was a tech person, they got into his Venmo, what could they see? Well, if they have hacked into this man's phone, they would have seen those chats because they got his phone, screenshotted them and everything. Entire conversation. If they were hacked before the chat, they can also see on his phone, like I said, the signal threads, all this contact information. So if they got into his phone and got access to his Venmo, they could be able to see not only these 328 contacts, their financial information, but not everything unless they decided to contact them via email or whatever. But they could go to LinkedIn, they could go to other sources, find out their information based off this person's name and all these different things they have, and then hack into it that way. But they would get this person's calendar invites, which literally means, and also travel schedules. So anywhere Mike goes, they would know if it was sent to his phone. And not only that, Mike don't go by himself. Mike ain't that important to be on a plane traveling around all by himself. He's going to have a bunch of people with him. Some of these core teammates. So if they were in a situation, and I'm not saying this is going to happen because it'd be an all-out war, but the reality is that if he's sending stuff back and forth to any of these 328 contacts, or even one of these is the vice president or the president, they could hack them on their personal phones. And you know Trump still uses his personal phone. Did it the last presidency. He's still going to do it now. This is colossal. It is not just something small. It's colossal. And the news covers it, but they cover it in a situation where this should take up the news like half of it. Because as serious as this is, they're playing like fast and loose with it. Like, oh, it's just, we'll figure it out, but maybe it's not. I'm like, you already know that it's been hacked via the Venmo. They found that out after they got into his phone, obviously, because how would they know? Jeffrey Goldberg, I don't want to mess his name up. I don't know him like that. He threw up the antennas, and whomever checks this out went into it and found out yesterday that he had been hacked in his Venmo account. They probably have not exposed everything he's been hacked on. It'll probably come out in the days to come, or they may try and hide it depending on what Trump and his goons are going to do. If they have access to his phone, they also have access to his internal government apps if they're on his personal phone. But here's the thing. I don't know their government system, but if he sends information like he did from his government phone to his cell phone, his personal phone, that's what Hexeth did, he could literally be sending the same coding in the hack straight to his government phone just by opening it up there. Don't know if that was the case. I mean, that's more of a stretch, but it's possible. One thing you got to also understand is that the things I'm talking about, even though they're hypothetical, they still have to be checked. It's not something that, it's like, oh, that's a stretch. This couldn't be, and we ain't going to go there. No. If you're an IT person at any level, you have to check the possibility, the plausibilities. You can't sit here and say, that's a far stretch. No. You got to check that, because one thing left open opens the entire thing up. So you have to check. Recently, in the past few months, I would say 5 months or so, I got hacked on TikTok. Opened up something that I was a part of TikTok group, and they somehow found out I was a part of that TikTok group. Email looked the same, all that. Same name of the person who was running it. I opened it up, and my account was gone. So I was like, oh man, I should have had all this stuff hooked up. So I got my VPN, all these things of that nature. So I know how easy it is, even for a person who is tech savvy, you still slip up. And for them not to be and slip up and not take responsibility of it. You can get into his personal notes, password manager, so that we'd have passwords for everything. If he kept his passwords for all his software and government software and computers and all that nature, they could have the passwords to that. Any White House level documents, if his phone was synced to that. If they sent stuff to that. And I hope they don't do that to their personal phone, but these are things that's a possibility. Like I said, the signal breach happened on March 11th. The Venmo account was confirmed public and active through at least March 26th. So it's been public for a while. Now here's the thing on his account. He had 328 contacts. And he said, Mike Walls said, oh, no worries, Lynn, it happens. But Mike Walls said that he did not have any contact with this reporter. Or any reporter for that matter, right? He said, no, I don't do anything with reporter. I don't know that. Now, guess what? And this is what I'm going to explain to you that's really kind of really effed up that people really didn't take into play on the news. He said that he did not have contact with any kind of reporter or anything of that nature. Venmo, to have a person in there, that means you have had a financial transaction with them. If they are in that contact list, you have had a financial contact with them in some way, shape, or form. Now, in his phone, in his app, there were multiple reporters. So now we know that if he had gotten caught by Russia or whatever adversary that we have, he's compromised. Now, just in case you don't know, and I know my crew is savvy, but I got to say it anyway. Just in case you don't know, and it's deeper than what I know, but I just know like the surface. If you're compromised, it's a wrap. You got to go. Main reason, because this is why you can't get a clearance if you are in debt, because a adversary has something on you. They can say, "Oh, I'll see you in debt $500,000. I'll give you $50 million. What? Pay your debts off for you." You can't have that, because it's not a fact that you aren't a person who would do that. It's a fact that you can be compromised for that. So not saying, "Oh, you're just going to do it." No, it ain't a factor of what you're going to do or whether you're not trustworthy or not. It's the point that we're not going to take the risk. So if you have debts, I don't care if it's $1,000, $50, $500, I don't care what it is, you can't get a clearance. And here are these guys at the very top, at the very tippy top, except for the president, but right next to him, handling our government. And he has compromised information that he's been lying to everybody that he has no contact with reporters, and there were multiple reporters. Not only was he in contact with them, they had paid him. Along with a lot of powerful military men. I don't know if it was women or not. I just know I saw the article said men, high-ranking officials who many were retired, but still, you got to understand, when you're dealing with data, these are like data points, right? Like if I have 328 people, contact list, that I can get in touch with, it's not 328 people. It's every one of those people in all the contacts they have. So let's say out of 328, because again, here we had 18 idiots. Let's just say out of 328, there was 100 of them that are similar to these idiots, right? On their personal phone, whatever. That 100 people could turn into thousands of people because each person is a point of contact. And each person is going to possibly have, I don't know, debt, or they're going to have some kind of situation where they can be compromised. The fact that they got their number and hiding behind a wall where they don't even see that person being there. In this situation with the signal, you saw his initials there. He was out in the open. He wasn't hiding. They were just pure idiots. Most hacking, they didn't hack, but he got into that. He was invited. But the Venmo was hacked, literally meaning you don't see me. And you would think, this is just me, you would think that you would have some kind of software, especially when you're dealing with classified information, you're in the government, that your phones on the regular, your personal phones, would be scanned for viruses and things of that nature, because you're bringing them on military or to the White House or to whatever. You're bringing them to sensitive places. You can't go into them with a skiff, but you're on certain properties, which literally means there are spies in the area, and you're bringing your personal shit. Your personal stuff should always be in a lockbox. Like for me, I ain't saying that this is what they have, but because if I was in a position of being in any of these positions, you know how Dave Chappelle, if you ever heard of this, when they go do comedy, they put your phone in a little little pouch rather, and your phone can't be accessed and you can't use it. I would have that everywhere I go if I was in these positions, because there's no way I'm gonna be that weak link. That would be at the top of mind for me. I ain't being a weak link. My phone is secure as hell every time I'm around. Either that, I'd be phoneless. You got to send a pigeon to get my ass. I ain't gonna be that one. Okay, I ain't gonna be that one. So I went to go check, like, because we're thinking about this again. They're playing it off like it's nothing, and then you got news that kind of like touch on it but don't go any deeper. And I understand it because they're doing a fishing expedition in a sense, but you still got to get people aware, because one of the things I see is that if you don't talk about it or bring it up, those who are in power won't research it as strong. You have to put pressure on them for them to even go down that pathway, or at least let it known they went down that pathway. So therefore, if you ask that question and you continue to ask that question and don't let up, eventually they're going to have to answer that question or seem like they're escaping it for some reason, and that will make it seem kind of not good. Historical and deep, yeah, Lynn. So when I said they can get through the person's phone, they can compromise the phone, they can have remote access via malware. In other words, like screen mirroring, being able to have spyware to be able to see it, and that's what the spies here do. We do the same thing in other countries, so everybody's watching everybody. That's why we need to be better at this and not seem like we're the neophytes in the room, and we actually are the neophyte like people in the room, because they think that they're qualified based on their skin color. Because none of them, I ain't saying none of them, but most of them have no knowledge of the position that they're in. So I don't even know who's helping them figure this shit out. Who's training them? So yeah, but those are the things. Now I started looking at, like, okay, how, how would they? I mean, how? First of all, I was thinking, how many steps would it take to go from having this app, the Venmo, and getting to everything else on his phone? But most of the times, if they got into that type of app, they've already accessed his phone. So that whatever steps they did prior to that, they've already accessed his phone, whether it be phishing or whatever. But to get to it, I just said, if they, just in case it didn't, it would take 7 steps. And people don't understand how Jeffrey Goldberg really saved all of their asses. Jeffrey Goldberg, and they're talking shit about him. He saved all of their asses. Because had he not said anything, this would have been a loophole for 4 years. Every country would have had our information, if they don't have it now. They had to find out that Venmo had been hacked only because of Jeffrey Goldberg. That's the only reason they found out it was hacked. Because they had to look through their phones after they had fucked up so colossally. And then they wanted, again, nothing to see here. Hillary didn't fuck up this bad, y'all. She didn't fuck up this bad. Y'all want to put her in jail, and y'all want us to just say, oh, well. I'm telling Democrats, Republicans alike, news media, mainstream media, because you guys having these interviews with them, don't ever get off of their necks on this shit. I ain't talking, I don't care if it's December 2027. I still want y'all talking about this shit if they ain't fired and they ain't out of, if they ain't went to jail. Because there is no way we should be able to have this conversation with these people and think that it's serious. I wouldn't share with them, the code to the nearest bathroom. Yeah, they are blaming Woke Mike. They're trying to blame Jeffrey Goldberg and say, oh, they try to. Here's the thing, they Woke Mike, they had me rolling. They literally tried to turn this man into, like, I don't know, he may have done something facetious. He might have been a spy. They didn't say those words, but they kind of like implied that we don't know what he did. That's what Mike, was it Mike? No, John Ratliff, I believe, was on some news. He's like, I don't know how they did it. They probably, we're trying to figure it out right now. I'm like, dude, the guy said he got in because you invited him. He's got everything right there. Why would he lie? He's a reporter. How do you get your information? How do you even get your phone number if you never talked to him? How did your phone get connected? Now they're trying to say it was an assistant. They're trying to sacrifice somebody and mess up their entire lives just so they can save this dipshit. And if that happens, please follow the money, because they have to pay that fool a lot of money if they are some kind of weird sycophant to be able to destroy their lives and never get a job again and have the mark of the beast on them forever. Can't trust shit with that person. They're going to label that person a piece of shit for the rest of their lives. If they ain't getting no money for it, they're stupid. So follow the money, whomever they're blaming, see what their bank account looks like in the next couple weeks or months. See if any houses pop up and cars and their children going to schools and shit. See if that shit pops up. If so, whoever's giving it to them must go to jail. Must go to jail. Because again, there's no reason that that person should get fired and then have more money than they did when they was working. Because you can't try and save these idiots, because all of them should be gone. And I venture to say all of them should be charged and have their due process, like they're not giving the Venezuelans, have their due process and see where they end up. I would say Guantanamo Bay. I think they should be in jail. Seriously, in jail. You should not take a job in which there's life and death and put life and death in your hands and you're not capable of doing it. You should be punished accordingly. That's the way I see it. Now, I told you what a regular hacker would do, right? These things that we're talking about, a regular hacker would do. Not knowing what they would do with it, maybe shut your system down, not really trying to mess up the government or anything like that. They're just, seeing what they can do to be a little hacking, opportunity. Like, how can I do this? How can I, whatever. Still a crime, but But I said, I went and asked the question, what would an adversary do with this information? Not just some, hacker having fun. And it gave me multiple phases, which was pretty cool in a sense. I was like, wow, I didn't know this stuff, right? But it says, let's step into the mind of a well-funded, because that right there, I just told you, that 7 steps, that was like an average hacker. This one was for our adversaries, things that they may have given to our enemies. It's like they're not kicking down doors, right? So they're not going to be the ones that's going to notify you that I'm doing this. And some of these other hackers won't either, but it depends on what you're there for. Some hackers want to be, ransomware. They want to be, hey, give me $500,000. I'll never tell that I got into your system, that type of thing. They may leave. I'm anonymous and whatever. They may want a name for themselves and have fun with it. But when it comes to like a well-funded adversary, nah, they creeping. They ain't saying a word. They may be there for a year. They may be there for 7 years. They might be there until you die. But the thing is, they are going to be quiet until they can find compromising information on you. You're looking at, any, adult pictures, videos, taking access to your camera, seeing you do things, that you shouldn't be doing at work or at a strip club or whatever the hell it is. They are gathering information on you like you were like looking for a job. They got a whole resume, a plethora of information that they're just collecting on you. And they'll look at it like this one thing won't compromise him or her. But then they'll continue to add and they'll have a whole file of shit. Like everybody thinks that Trump has a P-tape from Russia. Maybe. You know that they always record you. So that's what they're doing, an adversary. So I asked what would it do? They're more or less taking their time, chilling, sipping coffee. They're analyzing you. They're trying to figure out where your soft spots are. How important you are, who you connected to, who you hit up off the time. If who's your homeboy, who's your homegirl, who's your wife, who's your cousin. Are you cheating on your wife? Are you sending text messages to a young lady? They collecting all this shit. They ain't trying to be like known. They hidden. They ain't doing nothing. They collecting it all. Sitting in a room saying, "Oh yeah, Mike Waltz, yeah, that's a sick bastard right there. Yup, we got his ass. Oh, let's go next to Ratcliffe. Oh, he's a plain dumbass. We got him too. 400 pages of shit this fool done did. I guarantee you, any of them are hidden gay. Oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap because they don't want to ever come out that they're gay. The Republicans, yet though they went to I forgot what state it was for the maybe Minnesota. They went to the Republican National Convention and broke the gay like dating site. Shit just broke down because I ain't gonna say all of them, but many of them are repressed. Don't want to tell you that they either bi or gay. So if they are hiding gayness on their phones, oh, it's a wrap. They already got it. That's the thing. That's a compromised position. You don't want nobody to know, but if I got video with you and Brian, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So those are the things that they're doing. They're not going to, steal your money and let you know that I'm there. They ain't there for that. They ain't gonna do any kind of weird thing that's gonna throw them out of pattern. They're just gonna mirror you, see what you up to. One of the phases that they go through is social graph mapping. They start downloading the list of things that Waltz has, his 328 Venmo friends, building a social graph, a digital, like it's called a digital spider web of relationships. So they're connecting like who you connected to. They'll go to your LinkedIn file, find out who you're connected, who you're following, Twitter handles. These people love this shit. So not Twitter, but it's X now. All your military affiliations. All these people are hit up with the military. Every last one of them, the head of the freaking military in some way, shape, or form, or at least part of the government and connected to the head of the military, Pete Hegseth. J.D. Vance, access to everything just in case Trump just croaks out of nowhere, right? He has more information than all of them. He was in that room. They had access. If he was in that room, he had access to J.D. Vance. Now, if Waltz, his phone was on, is already hacked, and he sends something to J.D. Vance, in that not even him sending it, because Waltz's phone could have easily been cloned. A person could have been in this room listening to Mike Waltz talk about what's going on and try to figure out a question to ask J.D. Vance. Like, did you understand of what military weapons they were going to use? Was it F-whatever or F-18s they said they were going to use? And that would be a fishing expedition because that person would not be Mike Waltz. It would be Mike Waltz's like mirror. That person has access to his phone, which they did. Just send him a phishing email, and it doesn't seem out of place. It literally looks like Mike Waltz is asking a question. He said F. He opens it up, clicks on it. F-18s. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. They got the president, the vice president. And if you don't think if the person was in that room, they knew the main person they needed to get to was the vice president. And all they had to do was get into his phone, which they were already in, via Venmo. The second phase, when it says results, they know who your inner circle is and outer circles. The second thing they would do is behavior analysis. So Venmo doesn't just list your friends. It sometimes shows payment descriptions, frequent interactions, or even shared emojis. That fool had that emoji with the fist and crap he had in there. This reveals habits, events, timing, and potential inside jokes. So if they know your character, they can mimic you. If you like that one dude, I forget which one it was, the emojis and shit like that, then that person knows, he likes emojis. So if I sent something cloned as him and just hit up a bunch of emojis, they'd be like, this fool with his emojis. They would trust that it's him, even though it's not. All of your behavioral analysis. This is why they talked about Putin is a real spy. A huge spy. This dude knows what the hell he's doing. They've been saying that forever. He's like a super spy, right? And so all his minions are got to be good if they were taught by him or under him. So that's an easy process to do. So if you went out to like dinner and you wrote down certain things in text, and it's like this even the way you text, ladies and gentlemen. So let's say if every time I say I'm gonna go out, when I decide whenever I go out to dinner with someone, I'm like, I would just say like dinner with the my son's soccer team, dinner with this, that, and the other, and that's my format. Then I know your format, so I can clone you. So if you say something to the effect of, I want is it let's go out to dinner tonight. Okay, all right. Then you say like dinner or whatever. They know that you and such are going out to dinner. Now, what does this give access to? It gives them the access to like in this guy's house right now. There's nobody there. He's out to dinner with such and such. They're going to have a spy pay attention to you, and they're going to have a spy visit your crib. That's if they're onto you. They may not even want to even do anything. They may want to just sit back and just learn your behaviors. But these are the things that open it up. They also get to know information like if you have a babysitter, if you have golfing, or you have golfing bets and debts or whatever. You may have a gambling issue that nobody knows about and you keep in secret. You may have a flight, like I said, agenda, those things like that. It tells the story of who you are. The third phase is phase 3 is spearfishing deployment. Now they target one of Waltz's contacts. This is what with the spearfishing is like I saying how to get from Waltz to JD Vance, right? They target one of his contacts, someone maybe not as high profile, but still connected. So in this situation, they may target because higher than him, they may blow him off. Somebody a little bit lower than him or equal to him may feel a reason to actually respond. Like, oh yeah, that's my counterpart. We're equal. I need to know what's going on in his department. So get someone like that. Let's say they picked a retired, or in this situation, a retired colonel or journalist who doesn't have tight digital hygiene. They launch a spearfishing attack, custom tailored using the data they mined. So they can use what they learned from Waltz, like I said before, to get to that person. So they'll send an email, let's say if it was on Venmo, and say, there's a payment error. I didn't receive the money. Basically, can you send me the money back? I appreciate it, whatever it may be. And then now they're into your computer. They send malware, and now your Venmo they'll send you like a Venmo verification page. You'll think it's Venmo. You'll get on it, work on it, and it's actually your information that they have. At that point, depends on what they're trying to do to you. They're just monitoring you. They just got your information. They want to fuck you over. They got your money. So they got your whole account. So then they're in. But these people are for the long game, not the short game. They're not getting in to like fuck with you immediately. They're getting in so that they can control how you treat their country. They have a bill there. They have something, their lobbyists need something passed so that they can get a contract with America. Then they're going to get you to vote no on this or vote yes on that. And that made me wonder how many of our people are compromised in the government. Because you got to think about it. The way the Republicans have totally flipped, it has always made me feel as though Donald Trump has had something on these Republicans in order for them to do what they do. Totally be like, January 6th is bad, and sooner or later it's like, oh, January 6th is cool, we're good, I'm like, how do you flip? If you're compromised, that's why you flip. I believe he has something on them. But in this situation, Russia may have something on them. North Korea may have something on them. China may have something on them because they're so loose, and like they said, their digital hygiene is straight dirty. Just straight dirty. You have no idea what they're doing. The fourth phase is lateral movement. Once one contact is compromised, they monitor real messages to replicate tone and timing. They spoof calls or texts from Mike Waltz asking for info. They use the initial victim's access to try and breach bigger targets, like JD Vance or the president himself. And it's called climbing the human ladder. going from one power to a higher power, to a higher power, to a higher power. 5 is exploitation and extraction. Now that is them reading group messages, tracking locations, maybe even listening through malware microphones. They don't have to extract it all at once. They move silent, slow, silent, and strategic. That's the thing in which Putin was hyped to be really, really great at. And it says, even if no classified data is directly exposed, they collect context, emotional cues, behavioral vulnerabilities, things you can't unsend once exposed. So this was not, bottom line, a hiccup, something that was just, a little mistake. This right here was a possibility of opening a door that leads to a hallway of connected lives. You're walking down a situation of not just Mike Waltz, but every 300, all those 328, it's just like open 328 drawers of information of all these people and whom they're connected to. This could easily have fallen in, if it's fallen into bad hands, we wouldn't know because they would be quiet. These other situations, they're not. But we wouldn't know. And for how long, we wouldn't know. So had not Jeffrey Goldberg done this, we could have had 4 years of this. Easy. Hopefully, they've learned their lesson. And behind the scenes, they're fixing this shit. Because in front of the camera, they're acting like it's nothing. That does not make our men and women safe whatsoever. And before I get into the last thing, I'm going to go ahead and get in contact with y'all, see what y'all doing. I haven't read your messages. But this is something that's highly serious. We don't need to be playing games. Let me see here. We got, well, Mike, I've got a few Stormy Daniels videos. She is wild. Stormy Daniels. Yeah, I don't know why we was into that. Lynn said is a Shiro. Tape your lenses. What's that? Oh, y'all talking to each other about stuff? Let me see. Okay, I'll see it. I got a BS, so I will be out for now. All right, Rude. I didn't see you leave. Hopefully, I don't know if you just left. You've been out for a while, but take care. Yeah. I don't know, Lynn, about Russia, the Russia part. It could be. I don't know, but operational security, and no, Janet, they don't. We see a lot of accidents. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of these. I wouldn't be surprised that, because again, usually when we're weakest, and this is, I learned this from my brother and a few other people. My brother's retired from the Army and the Navy, I guess. But I learned it from him and other people uncle who was in the Army, one of my uncles, is that, when you're not allowed to do the things that they're talking about doing. It's just not something that happens. And if you did, I mean, it's all kind of shit. Court-martialed, Leavenworth, years in prison. You'd be lucky if they just kicked you out of the military. That if that was it, boy, you'd be like, I'll take that. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Because there's so much that they could have done to these people and still can, hopefully. There are a couple Republicans that are out here wanting an investigation. And I think that they owe that at least. At least they owe an investigation. And the thing that's killing me, did you guys hear Mike Johnson? I haven't got all into it because I had just gotten home. And I did, throughout the day, I've been checking back and forth. But Mike Johnson said something to the effect of getting rid of courts. I'm like, say what? You gonna get rid of judges now because they don't go your way? What country you living in? And the thing that kills me, one thing I realize is that I don't really know the country I live in as much as I thought I did. Because it appears that there's a lot of little laws that should have been taken off the books back in the fucking 1800s or 1600s or 1700s, whatever it was, because these things make no sense today. And for them to be trying to implement them and take us into like a dictatorship, talking about getting rid of judges, where is that at? I ain't never heard of nothing like that. I can see impeached. Yeah. No, he's talking about closing them down. I'm like, fuck are they, a store? What the hell you mean close them down? It make no sense to me. So I got to do research on that. That might be another one I do. But like Kenneth said, how can they investigate themselves? You got me on that one. That one has always pissed me off forever. How people, police officers invest themselves and investigate themselves, and you got politicians investigating themselves, and you're sitting here like, what benefit do you really have to want to see this come to an end? Because that billionaire is not only giving him $150,000, he's giving you $250,000. So y'all both get money from the billionaire. If you knock him out, that billionaire might call you and say, wait a minute, man, I need him for that other committee and I need him to do this, slap him on the wrist, but don't get rid of him. So I really don't trust it. I really don't trust it. What's the new one to you, Earthkeeper? I'm trying to figure it out. I went into the Air Force to say in 2007, George Bush was the president. Discussing politics in uniform was instant paperwork. Obama became president. The chow halls was more politics than eating. Yeah, save wit. Yeah, it was a huge, gigantic shift from everything. Like one of the things, before I get to the last part of this, is one of the things I realized with Obama being president. It was I enjoyed it. It showed me a lot of what he was capable of, what he did. I appreciate everything he did. I know he made some things like the drones and different things like that I didn't agree with all of it. I get that. But what I saw, and I wasn't in the military, but what I saw from the outside, I'm in this whole thing, but I like to look at the thing like a bird's eye view. From Mitch McConnell when he first came in, talking about a first-term president, to realizing that health care is something that Republicans and Democrats alike have been trying to do prior to him for over 50 years. They just couldn't come to full agreements on it. That's what they were saying they wanted, but you think about it, if you really want something, you would have got it accomplished. But him coming in and being able to pull it off pissed him off. Getting something done that took 50 years. Oh, wait a minute. This black dude's uppity. He think he know better than us. Well, obviously he did. Over 50 million people on it now. And the other, it probably have more on it if they weren't so racist and thinking that it's Obamacare as opposed to the ACA, Affordable Care Act. But everything he did, they tried their damnedest to make him seem like he was the worst thing on the planet. And it's like, dude, I never heard that man say a cross word about anybody. To be honest, I don't know him personally, but from the outside looking in, which I got to do for all these presidents, he was the nicest one of them all. From the outside looking in. I know everybody got an anger streak, but I'm just saying, when people did like shut up and you liar and all that, I would have gave you a good mouthful right there on the most powerful man in the world. Shit. I don't give two shits about what people think about me. I ain't trying to keep everybody happy. That ain't my world. I would have turned him around and be like, yo, man, I'm going to see you outside. No, ain't no apologies. I'm going to see you right outside. I'm going to give you a couple knuckle sandwiches and we're going to be done with it. Say it, call me out again. Call me out again. I'm going to bust your lip. I don't care what you say. I'm going to bust your lip. Keep doing it. Keep acting like that. You think you're powerful. We're going to walk outside. I'm going to and then I'm going to walk away while you crying in a big lip. Keep talking. Keep talking. But see, he was different. That's why I was like, man, something special about that dude. I'm telling you something special because you could tell he shot him that looked like, you, boy, if we weren't here, it was on the basketball court. Oh, you could tell he looked at him like that. But I would have been that one. I'm going to tell you right now, I would have been that one. I would have sucker punched him in his throat real quick. Bah! So yeah, now breathe, fool, breathe. Like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He did have a heart of gold. New one to me. Oh, suspension of the judicial system. Yeah, Earthkeeper. I heard that. Go check it out. I mean, again, I'm going to go look into it deeper. But I just saw that clip and I'm like, say what? Where'd that come from? You can just close down a court or get rid of it or something? I'm like, what does that mean? Are you trying to say I didn't go into depth with it. I'm like, are you trying to say you would defund it or something? So now you into defunding the law. I'm like, these people, yo, they don't believe in anything other than they right at all times. And these people in America want this type of leadership. I don't know why. I really don't. He is a good man, Lynn. I was like, oh, I was just like, yo. And I loved how they what was it? Key and Pill. I think it was Pill, I think it was his name, yeah, Pill. He played him. And oh no, it was Key who played him. He played the anger translator. He was going in, yo. Yeah, it's directly from Hitler's playbook, Silent Siren. I'm telling you, all this stuff, and not the breach and all that. I mean, it's just spy shit right there. But the things that they're doing in office is Hitler Jr. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you volunteered for Obama when I lived in Florida. Oh, nice, Lynn. Yeah, I donated a lot. That was the last time I donated like really strong for any politician. I mean, I donated for Kamala, but I didn't donate like I donated for him though. I had a different life back then. I was balling. I was younger and had all kind of gigs, building computers and all that. So I was like throwing money. I mean, you only can put in like $5,000, but I was throwing as much as I could. But yeah, it was crazy. So the other part of this, now we done talked about the fact that the breach itself from Venmo that we found out about today was probably already there prior to the breach of Signal. Now, I think we're going to find out more as the days come by because it's just going to come out. I mean, they're just going to have to keep doing it, especially if the news is going to be on their neck. At this point, mainstream media investigative reporters are on this shit like you know what they used to say, white on rice. So they're on it. They're gonna figure out something and get somebody to tell them something else. So I think in the days to come, weeks to come, possibly even months, hopefully it ain't gonna be that long, but maybe days to come, they're gonna come out on every one of them. At this particular moment though, don't get it twisted. Every spy is on these fools. Every spy. Right? They've probably been on them the entire time. They saw how these people worked. They saw how they worked. And I was going to say before, it's like whenever the transition from one president to another, that's our weakest moments. That's what my military family has told me. The weakest moment for America, when we're unsafe, the ripe time to have a war with us is during a transition, because one party don't know what the hell to do with the other one. When they come in, they don't know what to do. If they're hiring new people, they haven't been caught up. So that's our weakest point. And here it is, in 2 months or so, we already had a breach, major breach, caused by them, the Keystone Cops, and then had another breach by the same fool on Venmo. Ask yourself, how many of these other people have been breached? Because that's when they go after you in the very beginning. How tight is this person's digital game? And they will hack them all and try their best to find out. Because again, they're in that phase of weakness coming into the office if they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And they already done had a chance at them, not all of them, but MAGA when 2016. You know they've been hacking those fools because their hygiene is just the same, if not worse. Just saying. Just saying, it's something they should pay attention to. Is walking, talking crime machine. Damn right about that. Goldberg was a hero in this story. He could have broke the story before the attack. He could have. But then he would have been considered a bad person because of the fact. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If he had broke it before. But that's the thing about it. I know for what he said. I don't know. He said he thought it was a joke. He thought he was just being played. He thought he was just being played. And somebody was messing with him. And then he started seeing after he didn't know it was real until after the fact. He said, this shit's starting to sound real. And then jumped out of the call. And I don't know about this app. I just downloaded Signal just to see. I've had it, but I've never really. When I went to go download it, it was already on my phone. I'm like, I didn't know I had this shit, but I haven't had any transactions with it. But when you're, I'm guessing with the other ones, the other apps that I've had, not encrypted though, but just other apps I had that are texting, WhatsApp or Telegram, which I don't use often. Whenever you leave a room, it lets you know you just left. My question to them, and I don't know whether it does or not, if you guys know in that app, I haven't seen it. When you leave a room in Telegram or the other apps I mentioned, it says, you know, Mr. Straight Facts just left or something of that nature, notify that one person left. So you're going to tell me this dude bounced and y'all still didn't notice? Who's JG? Man, that's just crazy. Now, and NTG need to be impeached as well. She was so disrespectful to the reporter. Oh my God. I got to go check that out, Vera. I have not seen that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is that we already got the breach. We already connected the fact that any hacker that's even freaking almost, you know, basically a neophyte could be able to hack into his phone and have fun with it or whatever. We talked about how an adversary would use it as opposed to a regular hacker, which in this situation, it could have been either or both for all we know. And now I'm going to talk about the actual cost of something like this, because people don't really attach to the fact that they're trying to, you know, create a, you know, they're trying to decrease our budget. They're firing people and different things of that nature with Doge. This type of breach could range anywhere between a few $1 million to well over $100 million to fix. Because you got, like I said, each one of these things is a contact. All 328 of these people, their phones must go now. Their contact information, all the people inside those contact information, their data has possibly. See, again, here's the thing when it comes to data. It's not your stuff has been breached. It's possibly breached. That means it must go. So you just can't, for these things like this, get rid of your password and that's it. No, now you must be on a secure phone. Your phone, your personal phone, you probably had your entire, like, you know, adult life or whatever the number. It's a wrap. It's gone. It ain't about putting it behind some kind of VPN and all this shit. Nah, not at all. I mean, things like this, they get rid of the phone, destroy it. Get rid of the contact information. You got to contact each person. They have to change their phone at the expense of the government. If they have been hacked by looking at their phone, the contacts of the people on their phone all must get rid of their phones and do these same practices. It would literally, for the cybersecurity forensics team, right? This is how they go about it. And this team, their purpose is to trace the origin of the breach, analyze the malware, review all digital communication logs, the cloud syncs, and the app activity. That takes anywhere between 6 to 12 people. They have multiple teams, analysts, and they also have the cloud security engineers. That could take anywhere between 30 to 90 days, depending on how big this breach actually was. 328 is big. You can end up going through those 328 and nothing's hacked and you're like, whoop, it's a wrap. But still, that's going to cost you money. But if one or if all of them have some issue, if they got to them, that could take 30 to 90 days. The next phase is the device recovery and destruction unit, which means they got to secure or destroy the compromised phones, not just phones, laptops and tablets that they have this on, that their computer has. Because if they get onto their server, their access to it through the phone and all the things of that nature. And then so this includes not only their phones that they have, it's burner phones. They got to have like to secure like reissued phones for them and data migration. It's a huge process. And when you think about this being over 300 contacts, it's very expensive. They have to have a human intelligence risk team. And that's all about assessing the blackmail risk. Like we said, Mike Walsh said, I don't know any reporters. I never gave any reporters money. This guy's a piece of shit talking about Jeffrey Brown. He didn't say piece of shit, but you know what I'm saying. He talked bad about him, disrespecting him and all this stuff like that. I don't know no reporters. And right then and there, he's lying because his Venmo got hacked. Don't know when, but it was hacked. And they released the information. Said, oh yeah, he had 328 contacts and a lot of them were reporters. Thought you didn't have no reporters' numbers, bro. You said that on the news. Yeah, now you're compromised. Had that person not said that, had they not found that you had been hacked, then that information would have made you compromise with whatever our adversaries are. And they don't always want to attack America. They just want to get opportunity. Oh, you know what? I need you to vote on this bill the way. I don't care if your constituents want it or not. But I can't just stop the farming in my country. I can't, my state, I got to vote for the farmers. No, you don't. And you're compromised, and your guy votes against your best interest. That's what they want to do most of the times. But destroying the country from the inside out. Don't even have to send a bomb or anything. That's the human intelligence. That to fix takes about 4 to 6 counterintelligence agents plus the CIA and FBI involvement. I trust somewhat the CIA and FBI, but not the leadership. But again, that's what Kash Patel's one of them, and then the other one is who's the CIA? John Ratliff, one of the idiots on the phone. Then they have to re-credential you. Give all your credentials back, new phone numbers, emails, securities, all kinds of like resets on everything that you have, VPN routes and reroutes. And then again, that's on everybody that's in this list. So 328, and if any one of them is compromised, on top of that, and then they may not have and the thing is, so Trip, even if they're not hacked by this individual, they could find out that they're hacked by somebody else. And they still got to have all that stuff taken care of. This will cost us a shit ton. Just for the cost of fixing their fuck up, they should be fired. Then there's physical security enhancements, all these different things like that. And a conservative cost for something like this is anywhere between $6 to $8 million. If it's just the 300, $6 to $8 million to fix this fuck up they just did. If it got worse and they got into like a higher level, like a JD Vance, and possibly even the president, which is highly accessible through JD Vance, and he has all this clearance because if Trump croaks, he's the man in control, so he has to have all this data. And if he was on his personal phone, a wrap. That right there, anywhere between 80 to 100 million plus to fix. So we're looking at $6 to $100 million it may cost to fix the fuck up they did. And they're just like, eh. And here you are firing people and trying to save all this money. And you got enough money to make $6 to possibly $100 million worth of a fuck up. In the first couple months you got the job. Hey DJ, how you doing? Is Lynn out of here? Who's out of here? Oh, nobody's in. I thought somebody said was leaving. You know so much about computers, Mr. Facts. I am a computer person, yes. I do know a lot about computers, but it's just many years of working on it, fixing it. I'm a computer geek. But these things, reason why I explain them is because, first of all, I got a lot of people that always want me to fix their computers. I don't do it anymore. But being able to help you kind of understand a little bit of the details of what these fools have done, and how Americans need to be highly aware of how big of a mess up this is. I know that oftentimes humans want to try and forget shit or to suppress things, and when you're like keeping people safe, there is no fuck up too small. And these right here, this thing here it's just like a nuclear weapon, and people are acting like it's a water gun. This is like a nuke went off. And again, we don't have to have, when I talk about it, you're looking at technology, I can accomplish through technology more than a nuke could. This country is divided because of technology. Because other countries have tapped into the brains of a certain sector of our people, MAGA. And this is millions, 30% they say. And then the other ones that are over 30% are falling into that same culture of idiocy is becoming a new intellect. So when it's going down this path and this road, we could find ourselves in a very peculiar situation, which we already are. But if we don't know the magnitude of the stuff that's happening to us, we can be complacent and be like, oh, it's no big deal. It's like they'll take care of it. No. You can't have people who've never, ever performed a surgery operate on your brain or heart. That shit's just not going to come out well. So running our country with people who've never been in a position, not even in the subordinate position of someone who knows how to do this job. I mean, if you wanted them to have it, they should have mirrored the person who did it before to know what they were doing, to be able to get into a job and be able to answer when people ask you a question. Coming to them, I guarantee you, with Pete Hegseth, there's so many acronyms in the military. I mean, there's so many acronyms. Can you imagine at the higher level, the acronyms in which you and I may, not even you and I, a military person like Save Wit may not know. And you're going to bring a guy in who has no clue what those acronyms mean and what they're attached to. He's supposed to lead them? So unserious. What's up, Five Alarm Fire? So unserious. Trump is already calling it a witch hunt. Yeah, that's his go-to word. Words. Witch hunt. Witch hunt. Thank you. It's good to see that you're here, Five Alarm Fire. So yeah, it's just doesn't make sense to me. It should make sense to you. Hopefully people who look at this video will learn something about how this is much bigger than just a small, snippet that they put on for a couple minutes on air, and then move on. This needs to stay in the news, in the presence of Americans, to realize that, if ever you were to feel alarmed or afraid, because, both parties, and honestly, they use fear to control people. This right here is something that you really should be afraid of. because these people don't know what they're doing and they're acting like they do. And if they keep pushing this, we know what we're doing, but we don't, what's going to happen with our adversaries? They're going to know that we're compromised. Every last one of these people are compromised. All 18 or whatever, and the number climbed. I heard somebody say 19 to 20 today. I'm like, are you off? But all I know is 18. 18 of them were on this phone. All are compromised, which means all of them must go if you're talking about the security of America. Not only must they go, their phones must go with them. Their technology must go with them. Their ignorance about the government and their abilities to do their gig must go with them. But see, they're a part of that MAGA. They're a part of Project 2025. They've already trained these fools to, lick the left nut of Trump. How can we get them all back on track? And you can't get rid of J.D. Vance. Not yet. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you have a way to get rid of him with another type of amendment. I know the 25th Amendment is for the president. I don't know about the vice president, whether you can do the same thing to him, but that's just insane. I don't understand what this country is going toward, but it is not good. And I don't understand why they don't. Well, I understand the Republican MAGA people by now. They don't care. They truly want a dictatorship in this country. They want everybody to be ruled by them. And they're on a mission, if you look at Project 2025, to turn this into a dictatorship. Point blank, period. The things they're saying and doing are just 100% Hitler. And if we don't recognize that, and Democrats, I know they're recognizing it, but they're going about it their way with it, especially with AOC and Bernie Sanders, with the Stop the Oligarchy. I get it. But you need to be all on that same plane, not just a quote unquote left or far left. But that's what I get out of it. I just wanted to educate on that so that we're all kind of like on the same plane. We should know that they made us less safe, and the sooner we can get them out, the safer we can be. Because they just blew a atom bomb hole in our government. These are the weakest links. And this is the fucked up part about it is you don't have the other people in here, Pam Bondi and all these other people. You don't have them in it. And these are the colossal idiots. At this point in time, because you get some of these people came out and said, oh yeah, when I got my phone issued to me, it had the Signal app on it, and it says that it was government approved and all the da. I'm like, nah, bruh. Ain't nobody else doing this. And if it is, it's now we got all of these fools that just came in using Signal. They believed it. I remember when he became president the first time, Donald Trump was hiring people and firing people like crazy because they weren't trying to be sycophants. They were trying to do their job. And they kept telling Donald Trump, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's not the law, stuff of that nature. And just like a petulant, spoiled child, he didn't want to hear no. But he went along with it because he couldn't force them to do anything, even though he wanted to. Second time around, he wants the sycophants, the ones that won't say no to him, that'll always say yes or figure out a way. All of them are these people. Before, they had no clue how to run a government. None. And the only people in there that already, knew how to run a government or the military, they were getting kicked out for idiots. And most of those people who came back in, they were loyal to Trump to some degree, but they stuck with the law. Like Esper wouldn't shoot the protesters in the legs with live ammo. Don't kill them, to shoot them in the legs. Can't do that, sir. Wouldn't do that. Although he did do other things, like snatch people off the out of a protest and drag them somewhere and some, with mask on and shit, and then drop them off places. He did that, Esper. And this Trump fool got a bunch of idiots that'll just say yes, running this country, and a big part of America, majority white men, a high percentage, not the majority, of white women, about close to 20 or whatever percent of black men, about 5%, or about 7 to 8% of black women. Latin men, I think it was like 50 or 60 or 67%. Latin women, somewhere close around there. Like it was like 50 something to 40 something, or whatever it was. This man got all these people that he hated on to vote for him in the hopes of what the fuck we don't know. Because everything we told them that's going to happen, happened. And it's continuing to happen. Like I said, that one Latin dude, I had a Latin dude on YouTube. Thank you, 5 I appreciate you. I'm going to read that for just a second, 5 But the fact that I saw this Latin dude, I responded to him on TikTok a while back ago. He's sitting in his car, and he's talking about, black people, we don't need you. What do we need you for? You guys can't help yourself. That's what he was saying. And this was all because other people were pissed that black people weren't coming to march and all that. And black people were like, we did our thing. We voted. We voted for your rights. We loved on you. And you said, fuck you to us. We're the ones who said, we're the ones who, most of us were out here telling everybody, Project 2025 is real. Pay attention to it. They're trying to take women's rights. They're trying to say that you guys can't vote. We told you, and again, we told white women, look, they're trying to take control of your southern region. You don't want that. A big percentage of them, not all, big percentage of them voted against their best interests. We're like, dude, the fuck we keep telling y'all. We see it. Think of us as clairvoyant when it comes to hatred. These people, we can see it. It's like a full-on ass hatred human in front of us. We can see him. You're like, I don't see it. I don't see it, like it's a ghost. I'm like, it's right in front of you. Just trust me. But they just can't trust us. I'm like, yo, now we're telling you, we told you Project 2025. Didn't listen. And now these things are coming down the pike of these idiots being idiots. And we said they were stupid people. And what? A good percentage of this country was like, oh no, it's meritocracy. And you still get, right now, you can argue with some people who aren't racist and would tell you, now do you understand what they're doing is racist, sexist, xenophobic? They're literally trying to do things to black people specifically, to Latin people. See what they did to the 14 or whatever, right? Well, this Latin dude was in his car complaining and bitching and moaning about stuff and saying that, we don't need black people and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, we didn't say you needed us. It's the fact is that you a lot of you are asking us to come out and march. Where you at? Where the black people at? We was out there marching with you. Say, we voted already. We voted for your life. We voted so that this wouldn't happen to you. We literally told you this is what they're going to do to you. I literally was online explaining what Project 2025 was many and many a times. And I reached out to my Latin brothers and sisters live. And I said, you guys don't understand. They're playing the hate card. I promise you, I said this, and this is what I still believe. I said, I promise you, I said, look here. You guys are stuck on this hate, trying to get close to white proximity. And I'm like, look, that's not the card to play. They hate y'all. Listen to what they're saying. They've been saying since 2016 that you guys are rapists and some of you guys are good people. Some, maybe, could be type of shit. I'm like, they're really putting their foot on your neck and calling you out. I'm like, why would you want to? And then there was a lot of people saying well, he said he was going to help us. I am a person who listened to this fool's speeches because I used to make fun of him with Trump Whisperer translating stupid. Yeah, I watched all that shit. It pained the hell out of me, but I watched it. Not once did this fool say he was doing something for Latin people. Where'd you get that shit from? All that. And going at it. So this fool comes out and says, you know, we don't need you. We got this type of Latin group, this type of Latin group that support us. We got the Venezuelans and all this stuff like that. And all of the people he mentioned, from what I gathered, were all the light skinned, close to white Latin people. He didn't mention the darker skinned Latin people. I was like, you hate your own culture that's darker than you. You got problems, bro. You just got problems. And so every once in a while, like we told him, I said, dude, they're gonna snatch you up too. Make sense of this. And I said this before this election. I said, make sense of this real quick for me. And I was telling him, I said, look, if he's coming after immigrants that are Latin, right? Tell me you think that Donald Trump and his racist buddies can look at you and know that you're Venezuelan, and know that you're, from Mexico, and know that you're from another Latin country, and know that you're from another Latin country. No disrespect. Y'all all brown, bruh. They ain't gonna know. One Spanish from another. They ain't gonna know. So you put a target on your back by hating on a group that look just like you. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Attack people who look like me. For instance, that would be like me saying, yeah, send those Africans back to Africa. They came over here. Be like, fool, I can't tell if you came from Africa or you came from, been in Detroit your whole life. I don't know that, but I'm going to vote for people to snatch up Africa. You crazy as hell. And that's what they did. I was like, it's some of the craziest shit. I was like, yo, I don't know what this self-hatred you got, but we over here trying to make y'all love on your own people, and you can't do that. Not all of you. I'm just saying the ones who did that shit. Five Alarm Fire, thank you for the 20. I appreciate you. Up $20 donation. The fact, this is what this. I don't know if you are a woman or man. Let me get that. Let me get that right, because I don't want to mess that up. Five Alarm Fire. The fact I served this nation for 2 decades just to see a Fox News host become deaf, right? Post classify information on a social media app makes me feel some kind of way about our actor brothers and sisters in uniform. That's a fact. That is a fact. Five Alarm Fire. Yeah, I want to give you the respect. I'm scared of them, especially old friends that's still in. I'm telling you, I'm happy, and I don't want none of my people in the situation, and I mean humans. And this is when I say my people in the military, there's no safety for them right now. The people who went on that, a guy, thank you, Five on Fire, I appreciate that. The people who went on that mission, they weren't safe. Just because they pulled it off and did an excellent job, they were compromised. They were not safe. And now that we know that the Venmo was hacked before that actually happened, and whoever hacked the Venmo could have had access to it too, they're really lucky that these people were not taken out. It's crazy to me. Oh, the passport bros, yeah. I just, again, I see Vera. I don't when it came to the passport bros, I never, to be honest, I never went down that road. It's like for my what I mean by that road is like it never came across my my timeline on any of my work. If it did, I wouldn't listen to it. Somebody started off saying something like, "Oh, but black women," I would skip that shit in a heartbeat. But it's like I never really saw that content, so I can't really get in on it. But I did, see like a few seconds, and it turned me off, and I get off of it real quick. So I never really got their full thought. I just knew it was hateful toward women, and I was black women, and I was like, what happened to you that you really hated on people who look like you, bro? That to me is just insane. Uh, it's like handing the keys to your house to somebody who has stolen from you because they said it got me. Said they were cleaning the house or keeper. That was a good one. Yeah, it's siren said there's only one African that needs to go back. Elon. Oh, did you guys see? I don't know if I did put my video up. The last video I had, I talked about what I said the other day. Um, is that if we really wanted to solve the problems in which our politicians say are an issue, but they use it as a wedge issue to divide us. Like for instance, I told you guys about the border. If you really wanted to solve the border issue, we could, but they choose not to. Border is always an issue that needs a solution. In my video that I posted, I talked about, I think it was titled something like, we can literally like create the internet, but we can't solve the border. I mean, please, I can't trust that. Not at all. I can come up with a solution for the border, but it's not going to happen. So if you're really trying to solve the border issue, they would have had it done by now. So next election, they're going to bring up the border issue. And I started thinking about it. I say, and I'm going to write an article about it. Let me write this down really. I need to write an article about not letting the wedge issues make your decision. Don't let the wedge issues determine, I say, your voting decisions, I guess. Something like that. That's preliminary. I got to write an article about that because one of the things that really got me was we are creatures of habit. And every time people are running for office, they bring up the same things. They bring up the economy. They bring up the border. At the top of my head, I can't think of too many other things, but it's more than that, way more than that. Minimum wage, which is still economy, but they'll bring up all these different things that are wedge issues. They also bring up race and education and things of that nature that they're buzzwords for, like the N-word. And those are the things they bring up. But as Americans, we need to come up with a way to be able to throw that back at politicians. We should come to some kind of consensus as to what our solutions would be. And if these politicians, left, right, in between, aren't providing solutions to these problems and just saying just random shit like we need to solve the border problem, I'm like, well, how? Well, we gotta, kick people out. That ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it. It ain't about kicking people out because you ain't gonna be able to kick out people faster than you bring them in. It just ain't gonna happen. So you gotta solve the problem. Be smart about it. And I brought up the reason what we need to do. The smart thing is to kill the problem, in which ain't talking about the person, but the problem first before find out what the problem is. Then we can provide a solution for it. If the problem is, the drug cartel driving people here because they're afraid of being unalived, then we need to get rid of the drug cartel. We got an army second to none. That's what we say. If we really wanted our country to be safe and the border to be safe and people in their own country to be safe, we would wage a war against the cartel. Get rid of them, invest in the land, give the Mexican people a chance to start building their economy back, like we gave money to Japan when we had a war over there, build stuff back up without the cartel being there. And what we normally do, if we already got it already, have a military base there for so many years. I know we probably got one there already, but and make sure that it's secure for many years to come, that doesn't start to grow back. If we really wanted to solve it, there's a solution. And that sounds like something America would do, but it's not beneficial because they don't really want to solve that problem. Solving the problem like that, you have to understand there's hundreds of billions, if not a trillion or so, in these narcotics that's coming over here. Rich people in this country are buying it by the droves. Rich people in this country are the ones bringing it over here. And you know it's a rich white person, because a rich black person ain't about to pull that off too long. The ones that are getting away with it are the rich white people. And they're the millionaires and billionaires that are doing this. So who are in the back pockets? Who got the politicians on lock? The millionaires and billionaires. So are they really going to mess up the business of the millionaires and billionaires of bringing these narcotics on big boatloads of this shit, truckloads? Who do you think owns the trucks? You think some regular ass drug dealer around here in LA or New York, whatever, is bringing big ass trucks? They own the trucks and bring them over. What kind of business they got? Be realistic. You know how it's going to work. The only way to solve the problems is that we figure out what's causing it, then put a solution to it. But they just bring it up as a wedge issue to get me to hate them and them to hate me. And then, you get disheartened because these people can't make up a decision because you just want something done. We need, as Americans, say, you know what? Here's a solution. We want that. Any other conversation you having, shut up. We don't got nothing to do with it. We want this one. And you talking about that over there, ain't gonna solve it. Because they're coming here for a reason. Solve that problem, they won't come over here as much because their own country will be able to benefit them just as much as they came to America. That's one solution. Again, they don't want a solution. They just want to get you to hate somebody else so that you vote for them and put them in power. Take away the wedge issues, and these people have to come up with real plans to get elected. Not hate. They'd have to come up with an actual plan. But they don't want to do that. Portugal legalized all drugs and developed a care approach, and now they have the 5th lowest crime rate in the world. Wow, Earthkeeper, I heard that one. Let me look that one up. Not right now, but I'll look it up. I always love to get new information. Portugal. And that might be, again, that's another solution if it's working. And it's still in the capitalistic realm, capitalism. So it might not be a big thing. I'm white but not rich. Yeah, what woke Mike? It ain't got nothing to do with that. And they're not rich. It's like, again, the only people who can afford that is the rich people, and the richest people in this country. Or you know what? And again, it's not just this country. That same thing. Like if they got a border problem in countries that are, mostly black. Let's say if they got it in Africa and they got it in, whatever, Jamaica. Again, you have to look at the reasons why these things are allowed to come into the country. And usually it's the leaders of those countries, whether it be the politicians or the billionaires and millionaires, who are making the most money off of it. Think about this country in America. If we decided to get rid of all the narcotics and things like that and wage a war, and America was clean, there would be so many people who'd be pissed off because that's a product to them. That is a product to be sold. And if every other country, it would be like a civil war situation because every country is making it legal and America can't have it. Oh, they flip out. They flip out. Wait a minute. You mean tell me Mexico making gazillions of dollars a month off of this stuff and we can't get in that? You have to know they're doing it. Some counties in California have made all plant medicines decriminalized. Yeah, what counties are those, man? I'm in Cali, but I wouldn't put it past it. I don't doubt it. We got a dispensary everywhere. You know what I'm saying? They got dispensaries like they had liquor stores and gas stations in the hood. Liquor stores. Yeah, I can't say gas stations, but at least liquor stores in the hood. They're everywhere. Yeah, they're always shipping jobs overseas. Now again, that was a Democrat and Republican thing, in the right order. It was a Republican, George Walker, Herbert Walker Bush, who came up with it, uh, shipping jobs overseas, and it was Clinton in '94 who signed it. That was NAFTA. So they're all beholden to billionaires. That was a horrible bill to have, not because the trade didn't help out and all that. It was a horrible bill to have because you pretty much it was a union busting type of process. Living wage jobs were kicked out of this country, and then you had to. That's what built again the tech industry. Silicon Valley didn't start blowing up until NAFTA became a situation because they were like, we're not going to make everything. We're going to go through technology because that's the world is going. And they heavily invested in technology. And therefore, if you weren't a tech person and you were a hands-on person, well, your factories left, which means you went broke. You had to figure something else out. You had to start from the bottom and go back to the top. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, you're right about that 5 alarm fire. You got to have a demand, and this country has a demand for it. So it's supply and demand. Again, it's capitalism. You got the supply and the demand. But, and the stress that you get with being Trump being the president, you got it on both sides. Again, the divisiveness. Divisiveness is causing all of this stress and, all kinds of sicknesses, abuse. And it just is what it is. You said Santa Cruz, Oakland. Okay. I agree with you. I just didn't know exactly where. I just didn't know. Well, say we was. I was in my 20s when I found out there were countries in the world with free education and or free health care or low gun restrictions. I remember feeling confused, thinking it wasn't possible. Right, Save Wit? That's the thing about this country. They'll literally tell you that something's not possible. And then all of a sudden, if you travel overseas and you'll be like, wait a minute. Like a friend of mine, I haven't been there, but like I said, a friend of mine is from Canada, and well, a friend of a friend, and she left here to go back to Canada just to go see her doctor because here was like, hey, you guys' healthcare system is just it's too much. You know what I'm saying? They ask too much. So she went back to Canada, flew over there, went to her doctor, checked up things, checked on her family, got back on a plane and came back here. And it's like, you do that every year just for your checkup? She's like, yeah, y'all system is fucked. And I'm like, and I've never been in it, so I don't know. But yeah, it must be if she's gonna spend, $400 minimum to go to Canada just so that she can check her doc. Man, you got free healthcare, but damn, it's crazy. Yes, I appreciate it most definitely. Thank you for supporting independent media. Uh, Woke Mike. No, I learned a long time ago that Trump don't care about America. He cares about the bottom line, money. That's all he cares about. Money, 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 money. That's it. That's it. Uh, a man who's bankrupted 6 businesses, and I mean, uh, that would be uh, him bankrupting, and it was like Atlantic City casinos. I mean, just go with that. Just casinos. And I'm telling you, I promise you, each one of us in here, you may not have ever owned a business in your life. I promise you, you get a casino, it ain't going bankrupt. Something got to go bad for the place that literally makes money. That's his entire reason for being to go under. And the thing is, if you research, I don't know about all of them. I want to say it was Atlantic City. I'm not sure. I think Atlantic City was the one where he got Mike Tyson to try and fight, support. He got a picture of him shaking Mike Tyson's hand at a function, but Mike Tyson. He got Mike Tyson to fight at his failing casino. Well, I think it was Atlantic City, but him and his dad has been a shyster. His dad was a shyster before Donald Trump. He taught him everything. I remember researching his dad, and his dad used to have a partner. Him and his partner, and this was again back in the day when we had the housing boom. when people came back from the war, World War II, and they started building homes and houses in the suburbs. His dad was one of the developers who got money to build not the houses, but he got money to build all these other properties, hotels and apartment buildings and things of that nature. And his dad got in connection with that. The government gave him the money to do so, the subsidies to do it. They didn't have to pay it back and all stuff like that. Same happened to the suburbs. So black people weren't allowed to even get any of these homes, none whatsoever. It was in the contract from the government to the developers that they couldn't sell a home to black people because they were trying to build wealth for white people. Yeah, it's crazy. It happened from like 1940 something to the end of the war was 45, I believe, to like 1968, 69. So, over 13 years or something. Oh, wait a minute. 24 years. So 24 years of building wealth and then say, hey, black people, you can try it now. It's like, yeah, now that the houses are worth like 20 or 30,000, when you bought them, they were 4,000. Yeah, a little bit harder now. So yeah, it was a mess on how these things happened back in the day. But getting that his father was a part of building these apartment buildings and not the suburbs. And his father and his business partner used to pull a sham. This is why I tell you, because I've learned from history that the subsidies should go to middle class and small businesses and not to rich people, because the rich people know how to rob us. They build their wealth off of us. Many of them do. Donald Trump rebuilt himself from us. Because what happens is that our government gets into cahoots with millionaires and billionaires to try and boost the economy, and they'll give away a shit ton of our money, millions, if not trillions of dollars, And what his father did was highly illegal, but it was like you could see how Trump does the exact same thing. His father and this guy, they got a investment, not investment, but I guess a subsidy from the government to build like these apartment buildings. Well, they were robbing the government by saying, okay, here you go. I don't know how much the money was. I think they just say back then it was, $1 million. So they get this money for $1 million to build something, right? So they had to guarantee, it had regulations that they had to build these particular places and have to rent it out and all things like that, and they didn't have to pay back the money. So what they would do is they would run this scam where they would build a piece of it, or even sometimes build it all the way out. But they would, when they get finished with it, they would rent it to themselves. So they would make it look as though they sold it out like 100%. Like they got 100% of the people in the apartment living there, even though it was empty. Okay. So that made it look like, okay, we gave y'all $1 million to build this place. They built it for, I don't know, $500,000. They pocket the other $500,000. With that money, they would write a 99-year lease to themselves, saying that this place was taken for 99 years, that people wanted to live there. The government had to be like, who the fuck signs a 99-year lease? But they signed it for 99 years. And so then they went to the government and said, look, we can't sell the place, we can't do exactly what we wanted to do. We have a contract, with the apartments and things like that. And, we want you guys basically to buy us out. So it's government money that was spent on it. And it was built like they said they was going to build it. And then they will have the lease to it. So they'd have to pay them back the lease. Well, they made it for 99 years, multiplied by how much they wanted to give it per month. It was astronomical. It was like somewhere, if you took 500,000 or $1 million, it was like $3 million or $6 million that they was going to get back from literally purchasing this property, just building it and never even trying to put anybody in it. And then just selling it back to the government, which is all our money. They did this over and over again till they got caught doing it. His father had to pay off a congressman or someone, I don't know if it was a senator or a congressman. And that's when I started to realize Trump does the same thing. He pays off people to stop the kind of crimes that happen, him being charged for crimes. His dad and his dad's partner were going to be charged for crimes. And lo and behold, they get to the head, politician at the time, whoever it was in that particular, it was in New York. And the case was dropped. So you see the pattern with Trump when they were telling you the price of something, when they, Mar-a-Lago, they were saying, oh, it's worth, it's not worth anything when taxes came up. And then all of a sudden it's like, when the valuation came up, it's not worth anything. When taxes came up, it's worth a lot type of thing, whichever one they did it, vice versa, to make money. So they would value it and devalue it. And that's illegal. His dad did the same thing. So to think that this man is going to do good by America, he's going to bankrupt the shit out of us because he don't know what he's doing. He has no clue what he's doing. I mean, he does know he's a shyster, but his whole thing is never to really build. I think his thing is to make money off of debt. So he's like trying to like bankrupt stuff so that people would buy it, and then he makes the money. And as long as he puts it under the business name, he doesn't have a failure. The business fails. It's not on his credit, it's the business. The business may not have his name on it, and therefore he's not attached to it, but it may have his bank account attached to it so that he gets a business, fails on purpose, sells it, and takes the money. He gets other people. And this is one of the gimmicks, too, that they did. It's crazy. If you look it up, Donald Trump literally got one of his bankruptcies. It was other people's money that helped him build this hotel or whatever it is. It went bankrupt some way, shape, or form, right? And he didn't spend all the money and stuff like that. So when it went bankrupt, he still had, I don't know, $20-30 million. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a lot. And instead of having to pay it back, he kept the 20-30 million, and it was not even his money that was doing this. He borrowed every dime of it. Borrowed every dime of this to build this thing. And he got all this money, like 20, 40 grand, 40 million, whatever, and then just let it go and took the 40 million. It wasn't under his name. He let it go bankrupt. This man is a shyster, yo. Shyster. Is declining with style. Hey, you say Wit. It's because he's probably going to lose his job when the downsizing starts. Who's this one? His nephew's son is disabled, and 45 told his nephew, let him die. Yeah, I remember that too. I heard that. I was like, wow. That is just crazy. He refused. Yeah, they refused to. They put C for colored on applications. The man has been, he's just been a horrible human being. And you can tell, truthfully, the character of the man usually by his family. His sons are shits. His daughter, you know what I'm saying, she turned on him, which I would have turned on him too. So I don't know if that's a good thing if coming from a sane person. But, she married a shyster just as much as her dad. He took $1 billion or however much money, $2 billion, $3 billion, whatever it was, from the Saudis. And he was about to go bankrupt. He was compromised, dude. How you about to go bankrupt? He was about to lose a place. It was 666 something or whatever avenue. He was about to lose it, and then out of nowhere, presidency ended, and this fool got billions of dollars, saved that house, saved that apartment building. His dad was a crook. He got exonerated or whatever it is. How he got out of jail, and I'm thinking it's by Trump actually doing a pardon to him. I believe it was. It's just some of the most craziest things, y'all. I promise you, I'm gonna do a membership live meeting. We're gonna just have fun and talk just fun shit, because it's always like detrimental in this damn country right now, and we gotta have some time where we chill and have a virtual barbecue. Chill, do something like that. Who lost his job? Yeah, he buried his ex-wife on the golf course. I heard. There you go. I heard it was for a deduction or some shit. I never really dove into it. By that time I was tired of this man, and I took a break from him for a minute. I didn't want to hear nothing about him. I didn't want to know the dude was alive. Pay his contract. Oh yeah, his contractors. There was one of them that unalived himself. Another one whose family fell apart. The daughter talked about how the dad was never the same, depressed, became an alcoholic. Like I said, you got to be in love with hate to be with that man. You got to be in love with hate because there is nothing of value in that man. There's nothing. There's no core like values. None of it. It's all fake. And I don't know. Oftentimes, this one thing I walk through life and try my damnedest to be the best possible person I can be, being truthful and factual, you know, treating people like I want to be treated. Everything my mom taught me as a decent human being. Respect people, call people even to this day, ma'am and sir. All that, doing good. And then you see people just succeeding being the most dipshit, nastiest, evil, uh, you know, rapists and all these other things, you know what I'm saying? Being best friends with a master pedophile, all that shit, Jeffrey Epstein. And you sit there and think, like, how on earth can that person even be alive, let alone having the finer things in life by being a shit human? That right there just that irks me more than anything. Like, how does that work? Because it's just to me, it's like, wow, I can't believe you would think that shit humans would have a fucked up life, but it's the opposite way around often. I mean, not that he's happy, but I'm just saying the fact is that the things he does have, she does not deserve, not with the type of human being he is. Married Trump, yeah, I got married Trump too. I fought her a while back ago, on I think on Substack, not on YouTube though. Remember, I got a text or something from her. I was like, "This is really her, really?" And but it wasn't personal. It wasn't directly to me. It was an ad. But I clicked on it. It was like, well, what the heck is this? And she's on. I haven't checked her YouTube though. I see. I don't follow Michael Cohen, but I see him every once in a while. Every once in a while. Yeah. How is he still alive? That to me was like, how? That dude is just the evilest thing on the planet. And ignorance just to feed their cognitive bias. I just, when one thing about it, again, I started getting into mental health here the past couple years doing a show on TikTok, and I never knew that people, uh, when I had to learn about cognitive dissonance, and I was like, man, that's a thing where people believe two thoughts at one time, and I mean dedicated to both of them, and don't recognize that there can only be one fool. But no, they literally believe they have two thoughts in one head of the same thing, and they're adamant about it. And I'm like, you don't see that you're contradicting yourself. It's just crazy. Danielle Moody. What is that? What is that? Danielle Moody. I'm writing these names down y'all talking about. Everybody good? Having a good day? Had a good day today? I'm gonna look up Danielle Moody. You love Substack? Yeah, I got Substack on there. I thought that's my Mr. Straightfacts.substack.com. I'm about to write an article tonight, I think. Uh, one or two. I got a couple things I'm working on. I don't know if I'm gonna release it tonight. I'll see. I follow her leading up to the election. Who Sam Anstey? What is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't understand how they do it either. Yeah, putting their mother there was kind of crazy. I just didn't see how that worked. Write down Michael Moore's Sicko. It's a great documentary. I believe I've seen that Sicko. Uh, I saw Michael Moore's. Well, maybe I haven't. I'll double check. I saw Michael Moore's documentary on, was it 9/11? That was good. I didn't know a lot of the stuff, and I did research on it after I saw it. Just because I don't want to believe in propaganda, but I did the research on it after I saw it, and everything that I looked up was accurate. I was like, wow, that was crazy. Thank you, Follow on Fire. No disrespect to religious followers here, but having been raised in a cult, I understand the mindset of MAGA. Thank you, Five Alarm Fire, for the gift. Yeah, so Five Alarm Fire. I don't know if you ever seen on on TikTok, because I see her every once in a while. It is a lady who said she used to be in a cult. She knits a lot. She'll knit and stuff like that. I'll listen to her. She has a book out or whatever, but I'll listen to her every once in a while about the cult life, and it's deep. I'll be like, wow. But she says it's something about how she lived in a cult and survived or something to that nature. Very interesting stories. Because she said she grew up in a cult, and I mean, for me, I think about that. It must be hard to get out of a cult. I mean, insanely hard. Because you've built your whole network around a certain type of people. Nice save. What was that? Titus and the Angry Ginger. I know Titus. You know what's so tripped out? Titus, the comedian slash actor. True story. My girlfriend's a comedian. Not as big as Titus. I remember Titus back in the day. I used to watch his TV show when he had a TV show. His wife is a comedian too, and I was one night. I'm a social person, so when I'm out, sometimes I can be the life of the party. At least when I was younger, I was always the life of the party. I just love life. And we went to a. His wife had a, what do you call it? A comedy special. His wife did a comedy special, and I don't know if you guys ever been to a comedy special where they're shooting for the video, and it's all, you bring an audience. It's not like you pay for the whole thing because you're, doing your material, and you're making basically a Netflix special on your own. So she was making her own that she was going to market, and so I went to that and hung out with them. It was only, I would say it was about 150 people there maybe, and we all had to squeeze. It was a bigger theater. We had to squeeze up toward the front, make it look like it was full, and so the back area was really dark, so you couldn't tell that it wasn't a full club or full theater. And she did her thing, and it was funny. And after we got finished, they invited us. I didn't know that she was Titus's wife, and so she invited. Well, at the end of it, he came up on the stage and basically said to her, I was like, "Oh, that's Titus's wife. I know Titus." My girlfriend didn't know, and then I said, "Oh, that's cool as shit. I hadn't seen Titus in forever. I love the show." So I went and talked to Titus. I'm like, "Yo, man, I love your stuff. Blah blah blah. I ain't seen you before. I don't know where did you go? I didn't see you do anything." And he's talking about his life and things that he went through. I ain't gonna put out his personal business, but he was very open. And then he's like, "You guys hanging out tonight?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we went to his studio where he shoots his podcast, um, and they had like an after party type of thing of her thing. He was mad cool. Him and his wife, we all kind of hung out, talked, chatted, cracked jokes, gave each other's information and stuff like that. And they invited us a bunch of times to places, but it was oftentimes out of state. So I was like, I can't. I got to work, do other stuff. But overall, really good guy, down to earth. Uh, I don't know what anybody else thinks about him, but really good guy. The Angry Ginger. I want to. You know what? Let me write that down. I want to say I've seen the Angry Ginger. I know Jolly Ginger. Is it Jolly Good Ginger or something like that? There's another. He's an activist, really good dude, redhead dude. I actually just a little bit. He teaches like online. He'll teach something like I don't know, it's Vietnamese or some Asian language, and it's very. He makes it look simple. I was like, okay, that's dope. So yeah, the angry ginger knows you. He responded when we shared your channel on our Discord. There are several crossover subscribers on your channel from his. Oh, okay. Let me go look that up, and I'm gonna look at the angry ginger. Um, because I'm sure I know the name. I just the top of my head. Yeah, Titus is a badass. I love his content because when uh when I saw him his podcast, this was a few years back. He had his studio, but I had never seen his podcast anywhere. And then after I saw him and I followed him, his podcast popped up. So I don't know how long he's been doing it, but I saw the studio beforehand. Oh, the Angry Ginger sent you here? Oh, dope, dope. And I gotta let me go check the Angry Ginger right now. And he's on YouTube, huh? Or is it TikTok? I gotta go look at that. I gotta give. Oh, thank you, DJ. I appreciate you. Appreciate that. You said all that. So thank you. Go back. I didn't know how to do this. Do the same here. Thank you again. 5 alarm. Oops. How do you do that? Give me a second. It's not allowing me. Huh? That's weird. It won't allow me to say thank you to 5 alarm. That's crazy. That's not good. All right, but let me go. The Angry Ginger. I gotta know who that is. The top of my head.
So unless you live under a rock, you have been hearing.
Nah, nah. The Angry Ginger. Most definitely. I'll go ahead and follow him real quick. Subscribe to him. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I couldn't get in and it wouldn't let me leave a message to you. That's not good. But I'll do it anyway. Thanks again. But yeah, so it's been a crazy time. I definitely check him out and get back to the messages because it's off. Go with the flow farm. What's happening? Thank you for supporting. I appreciate all y'all for the support. DJ, she's on my the moderator from my TikTok as well. Always feel special. Let me get this real quick. Oh yeah, most definitely. How does this work? Because I want to say thank you in here, but it doesn't allow me. Hmm. Anyway, so I'm happy. I just subscribed to the Angry Ginger, most definitely, and I gotta go check out some of his content. But I gotta look at Danielle Moody too. Danielle Moody. I know. Okay, I've seen her somewhere too before. I gotta look that up. I appreciate all the info. So I'm gonna go ahead and check all this stuff, do my homework, start following people. 'Cause I always need fresh perspectives on things. Have you ever listened to the conversation between the members and the sheriff when they tried to surrender at Waco? No, I haven't. Oh, yes, I know you said it to Vera, but shoot, y'all give me all kind of stuff to work with. Uh, Was that from the documentary they had, Key Earthkeeper? Because I remember I know they probably had more than one, but I remember there was a documentary, something called Waco. Forgot what it's called. Is that what it's from? Benny Loco was up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I dig him. Um, Cliff Cash comedy. He helped lead some of the veteran marches last week. I maybe I didn't. Maybe it's somebody else. I was saying maybe that's who I'm talking. Another person that I've seen, but I think his name is Clifton or something like that. Not Cliff Cash. I'm gonna go check that one out when I get off air here. Yeah, Kenyatta. I enjoyed one thing. So here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you right now is that when a president um, just does his and hopefully in the future her job, I want them to be like in silence. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear from you every day. I want you to do your job, get in the cut, and do it. I don't need to hear from you every day unless something popped off. I don't need to be worried about every little tweet. I want to go back to where presidents don't have tweets. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I want you to go back into your cave and do your job. I don't want to hear from you. I only want to hear from the representatives. You could just sign your bills, and if something goes down, we got you. Sign it. Let's just deal with other people because the president be driving me nuts, yo. Just nuts. I'm like, leave it alone already. That's the way I look at it. I just like it to be peaceful. And if it's peaceful, I'm straight. Let me see how this works. I'm about to run out here and get something to eat because your boy has been working all day. And I love doing this show, and I could be on for hours, but y'all be like, shut up, boy. I'm tired of y'all right now. So I'm ready to get up out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. on 5:15 maybe because it depends on when I get off. But yeah, gonna come here and discuss things. This today, you notice at different days. Like today, I just needed to explain this stuff in detail because one of the things I find out all these years of me explaining, with receipts and different things of that nature, a lot of people don't know the basics of things, or even the full extent of even something that may seem small. And if we don't know how it works, then we just kind of just talk about it in generalities. And I know it can be long and sometimes it can be a lot of information, but when I feel like this, you can't say you was never told. You know what I'm saying? You may have ignored it, but you can't say you never was told. And I think a lot of times, we don't get the full on information. And therefore, I believe we make bigger mistakes as a culture, as American culture. We make a lot of mistakes because we don't know the history of things. So therefore, we start to repeat them. Similar to not recognizing what Trump is doing now is the same thing as happened in history with Hitler. We need to realize that and not just, want to talk about Hitler, that type of thing. You dismiss things like that, then you end up messing up your life. Heed the warnings that history has taught you so you don't have to repeat them. I remember when I was a kid, one of my elders said, take care, Mike, appreciate you. One of my elders told me, good night, being loco, told me that if you don't have to fall into every hole, every pitfall. You can always learn from your elders and know that sometimes you can walk around. Sometimes, you can just listen and know not to go down that alley, that road. But when you don't listen to the wisdoms of your elders on how to tread or tread lightly in certain spaces, you find yourself in the hole in which the people who tried to teach you not to get into. And oftentimes the solution to get out of it has changed. So they don't know how to get you out of it. They don't gave you the wisdom to ignore it, but you ran through it anyway. So the bigger picture is, listen to your elders because they're wise enough to lead you down the right path. And if you do that, you can get to a destination a lot quicker because you don't have to make the same mistakes. And that's what I look about this whole thing is that we're having people make the same mistakes because they're not listening to their ancestors and the people that have fought these fights before. You're not listening to them. And if you did, you could avoid them and we can be in a better place. I always think about it like this. If our people were made aware of all the issues and things that we faced, we wouldn't be cyclical. We wouldn't be going back to the same problems. We wouldn't be having the same marches. We wouldn't be going through all that if the base of education and knowledge of our history, the bad things that happen and the good, if we had that base, then we'd realize, going down that path, we don't have to keep telling people as if it's something new. But we keep on going down that path. But at least people who around me won't have to do that because we keep each other educated and wise enough to not make those same mistakes. And that to me is everything. We may not be able to get the whole world to do it, but we can get a lot of people on that. And if we do that, I think the world would be in a better place. At least I know we would, because we would be making the decisions based off the history and therefore making it a better place instead of making it what it used to be. We all got great and fond memories of the past. I do. I listen to music from old school. Takes me back when I was a kid. But I wasn't dealing with adult shit back then. It was tough back then as an adult. Our parents were going through it. We were sheltered from it. So we have these wonderful memories of the past in our family bubble. But when it came to society, we was going through some things. And so we often look back into the past and think of these wonderful years, but yes, as a kid. But as an adult, it was a struggle for most of us. And so to make this world a better place, I believe, we got to look at the past and grow from it, not try to repeat it. Get away from those potholes that we did in the past, not go back to them and call them great. Look at them for what they were and say there's a greater place on the other side of them, not going back to them. That's the way I see it. I don't know about y'all, but I appreciate y'all. Much love to y'all. I'll see you tomorrow around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then after that, if you go to TikTok, I'll have a music show, which will be right after, probably about 30 minutes after the end of my YouTube live. But yeah, you can follow me anywhere under Mr. Straight Facts, I'm pretty sure. Substack, TikTok, even though TikTok I got it stolen, so you'll see Mr. Straight Facts, I think 23. But other than that, you guys have a great night. Take care. Have a great day tomorrow. Wish you guys nothing but the best. I thank each and every one of you for being in here and the gifts that you're giving me, the love that you're giving me. Hopefully I give it back. All right? You guys take care. Be safe. And as always, I'll see you when I see you.